Hello and good afternoon, Hawaii. How is everyone? And hopefully everyone is staying safe. I know Oahu and Maui, they had some flooding last week. We really hope everyone is doing okay and they have a safe and speedy recovery. And we are going to wait another minute or so for more people to join. And let me know if you were able to use your Uber Eats in the Q&A box. You can let me know what you're ordering for lunch or if you have any plans for spring break. I know a lot of schools are starting to get out and we're based in the Bay Area. I believe ours isn't going to start we have a high school like close to us, April 6th. But I know there's already some people across the nation that already have spring break. See what you guys have ordered for lunch. We have a sandwich. Someone is ordered poke. Awesome. And a rice bowl and Chipotle pizza. We did have Mountain Mike's pizza today, and we had a couple slices. We also ordered wings. Someone ordered a Cobb salad. All right. And just before we get started, just wanted to go over some housekeeping. At the end of this presentation, I'll be following up with an email to provide the HRCI and shroom credits in the next few hours. And if you have any questions today, feel free to put the questions in the Q&A box. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. The questions will be saved. And if you want any further information, feel free to respond to that follow-up email. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and newsletter, and I'll have those links at the end. We're also going to send a recording of the presentation you can share with your colleagues, so that'll be sent through Zoom in the next few hours. Today, we're going to talk about Hawaii nonprofits and unemployment. Before I get started, just wanted to do a quick intro of myself. My name is Janessa Ponko. I'm the Senior Member Development Representative here at 501c Services. I've been in business development for over 10 years, and I've been with 501 since July 2023. And there's an image of people bowling. It includes me and some of our sales and marketing team members. Heidi is my manager in the middle. You may work with her in the future. And then we also have Evan on the right, who helps with our marketing and web development. I'm really excited to be part of a company that's been helping nonprofits save time and money that can go towards furthering their mission. And we're based in San Jose, California, so we're in the heart of the Silicon Valley. We're dedicated to helping nonprofits reduce unemployment expenses across the nation. And thank you again for joining to learn more about cost-effective strategies and also managing unemployment in your state. We're going to provide a broad overview on how unemployment insurance works, alternatives for 501c3 nonprofits when it comes to unemployment, how reimbursing works, and we're also going to use some real-life examples of nonprofits we've helped with our cost analysis, and then finally provide more information on our company, 501c Services, and how many of our Hawaii nonprofits, we have over 50 members that have benefited from our services. And first of all, just wanted to start off with a little history to put unemployment in perspective. Unemployment started in the US in the 1930s following the Great Depression and New Deal, where the federal government wanted to create a safety net for workers who lost their jobs through no fault of their own. Between 1930 to 1972, 501c3 organizations didn't pay into unemployment benefits for separate employees. Although this saved them money from paying such taxes, employees that were laid off couldn't reap the benefits of that safety net that for-profit companies had provided. And now fast forward to 1972, the federal government changed the law under the Social Security Act where nonprofits were required to pay into unemployment, but they were given different options in how they pay, so that tax wouldn't be seen as an unnecessary expense for them. Unemployment is overseen on the federal level. However, each state gets to manage their own programs, however they choose. So throughout the US, you'll see different taxable wage bases, tax rates, and benefit amounts, but we're just going to cover information today here in Hawaii. When it comes to management, unemployment rates can be adjusted annually and are adjusted by experience. So let's say you have a year or two of bad claims, so your tax rate will increase. Most states, including Hawaii, run as a risk pool. So when you're paying into the state tax system, you're putting money into a pool to access funds to pay for your claims. And we are seeing like a lot of nonprofits putting more money into that pool than what they're actually getting out of it. And then these total tax liabilities by employers, they're often greater than the claims paid, with reserves used in times of recession. And in order to calculate your tax liability, you multiply your taxable wage base by your employer tax rate. Now let's play a little quiz. Take a guess on what a single claim can cost in Hawaii, and feel free to put some answers in the Q&A box. So I have 17,000. We're looking at 8,400, 5,700, 18,900, 16,250. Just as a hint, the total cost is looking at the weekly benefit maximum multiplied by the maximum number of weeks someone can claim. And in the state of Hawaii, it's 26 weeks for the maximum number of weeks. And we're looking at 11,000, 13,300. All right, I have one more guess here. 9,200. So the maximum of what a single person can claim in unemployment in Hawaii can cost $22,568. And just as a caveat, this is what an employer is charged for employee benefits by the state. So those extended benefits you saw during the recession and extra COVID payments, they were actually covered by the federal government. And the maximum weekly benefit amount in Hawaii for 2026 is $868. And when we multiply that number by 26 is how we get that $22,568 for the maximum of what a single person can claim on unemployment. The federal government sets the taxable wage base at a minimum of $7,000, and there's no maximum. Currently, Hawaii's taxable wage base is set at $64,500. So that means for the first $64,500 an employee earns, your organization gets taxed on that. And Hawaii's taxable wages have been steadily increasing for the past 5 years, with this year increasing to $64,500 from $62,000 back in 2025. With the increase in taxable wages, you will be paying more in taxes if you are contributing to SUI. So reimbursing might be a good option to consider for unemployment, and we'll get to reimbursing in the next few slides. And then the minimum tax rate is at 2.4%. The maximum tax rate is at 5.6%, and those are both set by the state. There's also a 0.01% employment and training assessment rate that's added to all tax rate unless you have that maximum rate at 5.6%. And the last thing I want to note from the last slide is the improper payment rate, which is currently at 6.66%. And this overpayment equates to over $38 million in overpayments to former employees who are collecting unemployment from the past 3 years. And this is information that we get from the Department of Labor. You can see Hawaii is one of the many states that's less than 10%. This may seem like a low number, but this is money that could have been saved by organizations if they audited more accurately. It's important to note, as we really encourage you to look over your claims and make sure that you're not overpaying for anybody's claims. And here at 501c Services, we help organizations monitor this. And if you are managing on your own as a self-reimburser, we want to make sure that you're properly charged for our former employees' weekly benefit amount. So there are 3 different alternatives for unemployment. One is that you pay the state tax that we mentioned earlier with the tax rate that's set by the state and taxable wages. Another option is that you can self-insure or reimburse for your unemployment, where you just pay dollar per dollar for your unemployment claims. So you're basically only paying for the benefits issued. And then the last option is kind of a hybrid of both, where you buy insurance that offers a savings of reimbursing while also providing that safety net. And just to let you know, reimbursing is not for everyone. So the qualifications that we look at for considering reimbursing is that an organization must be a 501(c)(3) nonprofit. And then we recommend a gross annual payroll of $1 million or more, because typically if your payroll is under $1 million, especially significantly less than that number, what you're paying into the state tax pool is probably pretty minimal. And then you might not see much significant savings by opting out. However, there are some cases where there may be some potential savings. So we're happy to look at your numbers, even if you're just slightly less than $1 million. And then we also look at a positive audit from the past 3 years. So that means in order for reimbursing to benefit you, we try to assess if what you paid each year in taxes exceeds what you're paying compared to like your actual claims. And then we want to make sure that there isn't any major disruption in funding for the next 24 months. So we do recommend staying with the state tax system. If you know if you might have anything from impending layoffs, reduction in the workforce, losing funds, or closing programs where your tax rates may go up with experience, and then you want to wait until those claims decrease. And what it means to reimburse is that your tax rate turns to 0%, and then the state will bill you only for the unemployment claims you receive over the quarter. So it's a great way for nonprofits to save money and be a better steward of donor dollars. The process is seamless for separating employees. No matter how your employee is separated, they're still going to go through the same process of your unemployment department, where the state determines their benefit amount based on the base period pay. The only change is how that quarterly bill is calculated. So instead of paying the state unemployment insurance tax, you're now only responsible for charges your organization incurs. And we work with over 1,500 nonprofits, and we have over 50 members in Hawaii. So you're probably wondering what motivates them to reimburse. In most cases, reimbursing saves money. On average, savings can be anywhere from 20 to 40% compared to paying in the state tax system. And this is really the driver for most organizations to switch. Reimbursing also eliminates any concern of changes in the state tax, such as any tax hikes that you can't control. You become a better steward of donor dollars as you're just paying for your actual claims than putting money into that state pool. And because unemployment is managed by the federal government, big picture, reimbursing is allowed in all 50 states, best with employers with over $1 million in payroll, and at least 15 or more full-time employees. So if you're on the borderline of that, we can certainly talk, as there may be some circumstances where we can consider reimbursing for your organization. And if you are smaller and reimbursing already, we can still consider you for our services and how our services can help you reduce the risk that can come with managing claims. And there are a couple of different strategies for reimbursing. The first is to manage your own program. This can be it can be risky with like the highs and lows of unemployment, and you want to make sure that you have budget for these claims and make sure that your team is very diligent with managing, auditing, protesting, and paying claims to reduce risk and also prevent overpaying. Another option is to outsource, like using 501(c) services to help with the administrative work and managing the challenges that can come with unemployment claims. And then we also have a trust where you can put money aside. The third option is to purchase insurance. At 501, we do offer insurance and programs. They are a little bit more expensive than the trust and offers different levels of protection. And I do want to talk about how SUI is calculated. Like I mentioned earlier, I'll show some real cost assessments that we've done in the past. So the taxable wage base is customized by each state. In Hawaii, the taxable wage base is set at $64,500. All employers in the state pay the same taxable wage base. It represents the first $64,500 of an employee's earnings. There's no maximum and can increase or decrease by any amount each year. And then the tax rate is set annually by the state and is based on experience. So to calculate your contribution amount, you multiply the taxable wage base by the tax rate. So for Hawaii, it's the $64,500 times the 2.4 to 5.6 tax rate range. This amount means that if each employee is making over $64,500, the company is paying in between $1,548, so a little bit over $1,500 to $3,612 per employee in unemployment. And what we do to get started on an assessment is that we look at your tax rate notice. This document gives us most of the information we need to do an analysis. It includes a contribution rate that's located at the top left portion that's highlighted, and then the employment and training tax we mentioned earlier on the right. And then the tax rate notice also provides your last 3 years in taxable rate, payroll, and the benefits you were charged from the previous year. So in this example, the organization's reserve or total overpayment was around $411,000. And then contributions were over $126 and they didn't have any benefits charged. So this organization paid $126,000 more in taxes than what they were paying in claims. With this large overpayment, their reserve balance increased to over $500,000 by the end of the year. This is a very extreme example with a large amount of savings, or with a large amount of savings that we normally would see, but it was a real tax rate notice that we just did. And then you never know how much you can save if you ever transition to reimbursing. So we do have another 2 examples coming up. And also, just to let you know, there's no need to understand everything on this notice. We're happy to look over these numbers with you and kind of let you know what kind of potential savings your organization may have. So for the next 2 slides, we do have more examples with nonprofits with large overpayments, and then they also eventually became members of our trust too. And this is an example of a human services nonprofit we worked with. The taxable payroll was just shy of $1 million, tax rate 4.7%, estimated claims only around $200 per year. In this case, we look at a 3-year average of claims, so they were overpaying by $45,000 a year. And think of what you can do with an extra $45,000 for your organization. And this is an SPSA that we worked with. Their payroll was around $700,000, tax rate 3.38%, estimated annual claims around $5,900, estimated unemployment taxes were around $24,000. So they were overpaying $18,000. And a little bit more about 501c services. We were founded in 1982 by a former UCP executive. He was looking for ways to save money for his organization. So he came up with the idea of starting a trust. So he teamed up with 25 members in San Jose, California to start the first kind of grantor trust called the Joint Unemployment Compensation Trust. It eventually became what is now known as 501c Services and also 501c Agencies Trust. And now we currently work with over 3,000 nonprofits in various ways. And then in 2016, the founder sold the company back to his employees. So we're now 100% employee owned. From our receptionist to the CEO, every member is committed to our company and serving our members. And our services are valued tremendously, with our company having over a 98% retention rate. And here are a couple of testimonials our members have shared, and you can also go back to these later as I'll send the slides after the presentation. And this is a clip from our 40th anniversary celebration a few years ago. It includes testimonials from Anika Lund and Mike Hoffman from Start Early, Mary Sue and Michael Eady from CISC, Sandy Leota and Chris Marshall of Baltimore Center Stage, and Phyllis Austin and Jason Penniger from Boys and Girls Club of America.
What makes me passionate about working for a non-for-profit organization is because I knew I always wanted to work for a mission-driven organization.
Our mission is to work with immigrant communities so that they can achieve the American dream.
501 helps focus our service to the community by giving us more time.
501 helps us focus on serving our communities by providing services directly to our HR professionals.
The biggest benefit for working with 501 is really the transparency and ability to forecast our costs when it comes to our unemployment benefits.
They also keep our cash flow steady through claims that are sound and take a lot of the admin burden off of us so we can just stay on autopilot.
We're very grateful for all the support you provided over the last 4 decades, and we wish you continued success in the future.
Congratulations, 501, on your 40th anniversary. It's been a pleasure serving with you for the last 24 years.
And like I said earlier, we work with over 50 Hawaii nonprofits. This is a quick snapshot of a few nonprofits here in the state that are members. And as you heard them say in the clip, our members appreciate how we save them time and relieve some administrative burdens. The first way we help nonprofits is through claims management. Our team will help you manage, audit, and protest claims. So if you ever want to protest a claim, we offer unlimited access to hearing reps. And our team has a very high protest win rate in the state of Hawaii at 88%. And when you become a member of our trust, you'll get a dedicated claims manager. All of your claims will go through this online portal where you get notified that a claim has been filed. So you'll go into the portal to respond to the questions. And if you ever go on PTO and forget to delegate these kinds of unemployment tasks, it shouldn't be an issue for when a claim doesn't get responded to in several days. It gets escalated and handled. So a big part of our claims management is that our team doesn't want to see your organization overpay or get hit by those Hawaii error rates. So we can audit those charges for you or prevent you from paying a claim when someone gets terminated. We want to make sure that you're managing these claims and also have enough support to do so. And our HR services includes 3 components. We offer unlimited access to HR consultations. We're a small dedicated team that can answer any of your HR related questions. So if you ever have like an ongoing issue, you can develop rapport with the person who will support you and manage any of your questions. We also have trainings throughout the year that are HRCI and SHROOM certified. And then we also have an online knowledge library with our HR services. And with the 868 maximum weekly benefits here in Hawaii, our goal is to help you keep that cost as low as possible. So if you ever lay someone off, we have the reemployment tool that offers packages that can range from online coaching, interview techniques, and resume writing. And our studies have shown that individuals that use this tool on average find a job 4 weeks faster than those that don't. It's never fun to let someone go, but at least you can give them that safety net and resources to help them secure a new job faster, which in return can help your organization save more money. And then we have the protection. It's the insurance part of our program. Most of our members take our stop loss protection that helps members during catastrophic claims. And then other than catastrophic claims, for managing the general highs and lows of unemployment, we have the trust account. This is a reserve account owned by your organization where you can set money aside for any possible unexpected number of claims. So I hope this sparked your interest, and maybe some of you may want to manage your unemployment through us as a reimbursing employer. So if you want to look into potential savings, and also look into our cost analysis, what I would need from you is your recent 941s, so from the last 4 quarters, or your estimated payroll from 2024 to 2025 as a reimburser. And if you're paying into the state tax system, we would need a copy of your 2026 tax rate notice. And then it would also be helpful if you had also the 2025 to 2024 tax rate notices, so we can look at additional data points for you. And I did see a couple of questions pop up. So the first question I got was, does it cost anything for these services? yes, we have our trust administrative fees, and the pricing is based on the size of your gross annual payroll, and then we'll include those service fees if you do a cost analysis with us. And the other question, so we're already self-insuring, we're over $1 million in payroll. Would it be worth it to join the trust or just stay self-insured based on our size? I don't really understand how the trust works. Is it for smaller organizations? So with our trust, we have members with the payroll that ranges from less than $1 million and all the way up to $100 million. So we work with small and very large organizations. Our services are intended to mitigate the risk of reimbursing with services like claims management. We also have a reserve to help you budget for the costs for the highs and lows of unemployment. So whenever you have an issue or like a claim that comes up, you'll have that reserve account to pay for the claims. And then we also have stop loss protection in any case of catastrophic claims. We're happy to provide you with a quote if you wanted to look into joining us already as like a reimburser, but using us to help you manage the claims. So we just need your recent 4 quarters of 941s. And right now, we're looking at Q3 2024 to Q2 2025, if you have those available. And then looks like they're also a reimbursing employer. They are asking, why is unemployment allowed for employees that have stolen from the company? So let's see. Why have they stolen from the company? So we would need a little bit more context for this specific scenario. It is hard to just give a definite answer, but typically unemployment benefits are given to former employees who lost their job through no fault of their own. So basically involuntary. So when an employee has been terminated for cause, they shouldn't be receiving benefits. That terminated employee, they're allowed to apply for benefits. It's up to you as the employer to protest. It's also possible that the former employee got another job and lost that job through no fault of their own. If that is the case, they will qualify for unemployment. And if you're in that base period, you may have to pay a portion of that claim. So let's say that this person recently quit with you and then they lost their job. So let's say they ended December of this year. They started in January and then they got laid off this March. And then the base period is like the last few quarters that they look at the last few quarters of what that person worked. And if their employment was working with you in those last 4 quarters, you may be responsible for that claim. So that's where the base period comes in and where you may be responsible. And then our services can help you manage your claims and also protest. And we also help organizations reduce their liability. And within the last year, our overall average for winning protesting has been 80% nationwide. And then why are some claims approved when someone quits? So again, we would need more context for this kind of question. When someone leaves your organization, gets another job, but gets laid off, like I mentioned earlier with the base period, you may be responsible for a portion of their unemployment. There may be other factors to unemployment that can allow a person to collect unemployment even if they resign. And sometimes it doesn't seem fair, but what we can do is like set up a meeting with you. We can like help you understand like why some claims are approved, and our services also help you to make sure that you're not paying for any unnecessary claims. So we'd love to talk with you if you want to talk about your situation, get a free cost analysis with you. And let's see. So I don't have any more questions. If you are typing a question as I log off, I'll stay on for another minute or so. But I'll be sending the follow-up email with the HRCI and Shroom credits in the next few hours. I'll also attach the slides, and you'll also get a recording in the next few hours. And if you want to save that question for the follow-up email, please do. And if you're able to, it's also going to be saved on the Q&A box. So I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And this is my contact information if you have any questions. And feel free to check out our YouTube channel and also sign up for our newsletter for any upcoming events. All right, thank you so much, and hope everyone has a great day, and please stay safe. We hope you have a great week, and I look forward to speaking with some of you soon.